Welcome back to the Taiwan Outlook. We're continuing our conversation with Mr. Albert Huang on the issue of being a teacher and a part-time educator. I know, Albert, you teach at the local university. And would you mind sharing with us a little bit, in that capacity, what's your experience like as a professor on photography or on filmmaking?
Because at the beginning, I want to be an artist.
Okay.
So I don't want to do the commercial work.
Okay.
I think the commercial work will poison my art making.
It's below you. Yes.
I don't want to say that. Because that's difficult too. But
Okay.
I think that because I want to make picture what I like is not what my client like.
Okay.
So I didn't do much of a professional photography work. So the only choice I have is being a teacher. Mm-hmm. So because when you're doing a teacher, you can make a okay living, but you can make your artwork.
Okay.
So that's my choice.
Okay.
And also, before I went to United States to study photography and film, I was quite anxious about learning photography. But here is like nobody teach photography. So I have kind of make a wish or something, say, after I learn the photography, I'm going to come back and teach people how to do photography right. That's why I chose the education is one of my very important job. Yes.
You know, I study law, so law is probably a little easier to teach because you have, something tangible to teach your students. And but when you teach on photography, how do you convey your notion of what constitutes good photography to your students? What are the more interesting aspects of your teaching experience, and what are some of the more frustration coming from?
As you say, being an art-making teacher is quite different. People will say, how can you teach creation? How can you teach art making?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's my expertise. Because when I was in school in the United States, I always were pretending I am a teacher. I mean,
when you were a student?
When I was a student, when my classmate showing his work, and I was thinking, if I am a teacher, how I will tell him. What's wrong with him, what's good with him. So I always practice when I was just a student. So I'm very happy that I come back, I can teach the work. But the problem is, people don't see photography quite seriously in Taiwan.
Yeah.
So I kind of, after years, I know, I kind of push them too hard. But because I'm so anxious, because I think how we know photography is so little. I'm in very hurry, want to make this young person to grow up, to know what this image is about. But mostly I'm fail. Because they don't want to be that way. And also, it's the environment in Taiwan. Being a photographer is not a very good job in Taiwan. So I kind of pull myself back a little bit. But the happiest thing is that I did teach a lot of students.
Yes.
So a lot of young photographers today, a lot of very good photographers today, they were my students years ago. So I'm quite happy, like nowadays, so many good photographers, they were taught by me years ago. So I'm quite happy with what I did 10 years ago.
That's a different sense of satisfaction. But also, let me ask you though. I mean, we talk about creative art is a very difficult form of subject to teach to your students. How do you think? What's your sense about creative arts in Taiwan today? Is it something that's encouraged or supported by the society? Do people actually, appreciate, the value added by creativity?
I think we all know creativity and the fine art and all this kind of thing is a very good stuff. I mean,
of course,
people say we need a cultural creativity industry to improve our economic
competitive edge. Yes.
But I have to speak frankly, we only say that, but nobody did anything.
Okay.
We just, I mean, in our society today, people just say we need that, but nobody really pay attention. Nobody really do the foundation work. So I think school is a very good place to do the foundation work. But I don't think people will, they just say that we need that, but nobody do that.
Yeah.
I kind of don't feel very good with that, the saying.
Yeah, I agree with your notion on that, very much, because if you look at, some of the TV programs we have in Taiwan today, a lot of them are actually copied from other countries. We see not much, I can't say none, but not much of original creativity in Taiwan, even in the form of very popular, TV culture, that we see very little of that. That is, frustrating, to a lot of people, including myself. But the sense is, how do you teach, people, to be creative? I think not so much of, what can be conveyed in a classroom, but in terms of how the whole society at large, really appreciates original ideas, how we have, legislation or laws that can protect original intellectual property rights. All these things. But do you think we have the necessary, elements, in place in Taiwan, as a society, as an environment, to support, original ideas, to creativity? Do you think we're there yet?
I have to say not yet.
Okay.
But people know that is important. But I think the most important thing is we don't encourage different value.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Multi-value system is none in our society.
No.
If you want to encourage people to do creativity, you have to allow them to do anything or everything. But people here, it's so easy to criticize people. You say, what's bad, what's bad, what's bad.
Yeah, everybody's a good critic.
Yeah, but nobody will encourage people to do something different. If you just do something different, people will say, no, what is that? Nobody did that before.
Yeah.
Hey, why do you do that? Nobody did that before.
Yes.
So actually, you are convince people don't do anything creatively. Because if you do something different, people will laugh at you or criticize you. So I think this is a big problem today. It's not what you can do it in a couple of years.
No.
And also, you're talking about a TV program.
Yeah.
We all know TV and the filmmaking need a lot of money and time.
Yes.
But we all know the TV station today don't have that kind of money and time.
No.
And how can we say we don't have a good stuff to watch because we don't put that kind of money and allow people to, we say we can spend 1 year to doing a documentary or half year to doing a documentary, but I don't think any TV station will give me 1 year to doing a documentary. That is impossible for us.
Albert, you mentioned about commercial viability. That is, of course, a very important consideration for a lot of media in Taiwan. But also, do you think that government, maybe the government can do more in terms of encourage creative, ideas, original concepts? Do you think that government can do more, in both the local and also the central government level?
Of course, government can do more, but I would prefer they do nothing is better.
Oh, really?
Because in our making, we don't want any government to tell us what is good stuff to do. Because, but government have something to worry about. It's not artists to worry about. It's not a culture to worry about. They worry about their own position, their own power. So if the government involved in art making, I would say that was the tragedy, that was disaster. So I know government should do something, but I hope they don't do anything.
But how about the public? How about the society at large? How can we, as a society, encourage creative ideas?
I think because right now the economic situation is not very good today, people will pick what they like. I mean, for me as an artist or as a producer or director, we have to make good stuff. So people will watch.
Yes.
If people don't watch your stuff, that means your quality, your content, or whatever, something wrong with you. So I was doing in both ways. I would not say people have to pay your money. You have to, even this film is not good, but you still have to buy the ticket to watch the film. So encourage the filmmaking. I said, no, if the film is not good, this director should not do any more film anymore. And let the good director do the film.
Okay.
So I'm because I survived from this very competition environment. So I would say people just pick what they like.
Okay.
And the maker, they will know what they make.
Okay.
If
Let
they
the
don't,
free market decide.
yes, let the market decide.
Okay.
Don't want to say, this is good, you have to see it. This is
Okay.
bad, you don't have to see it. No, but
Okay.
they just let them to pick.
Okay.
And as a maker, you have to make yourself stronger,
Okay.
make your quality work, and
Okay.
people will like you
Okay.
and will buy your ticket.
Final question. If people are interested in terms of getting into photography, into filmmaking, what would be your word of advice?
You have to convince your parents, convince your wife.
Yes.
Maybe I don't make that kind of money for years and years and years, and maybe someday I can make it, like a director way. And so if you can convince them,
Okay.
then you can do it. If you don't have this kind of eager, you don't have this kind of anxiety, you just being an audience, that would be more happy.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Albert Huang, for sharing your experiences and your thoughts on Taiwan's creative arts industry. I certainly hope that in the not too distant future that we can see some far-reaching breakthroughs in our society on that aspect. Thank you very much, Albert.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching the Taiwan Outlook. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television.